I can't hear you. I can't hear you, bro.
Let's start that over.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yo, 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 yo. We're back at it again. We are Rhymes and Reasons on a Wednesday. I think we settled on a nice name for this Thursday show.
All
We're
right.
coming on every
Yep.
Thursday. Every Thursday here on out. There may be some special occasions we
Any
pop up on
day.
a Wednesday, but
Mm.
Thursday is going to be the day we cook up. So Rhymes and Reasons is what we calling it. Super Duper may not be here tonight. He may be here tonight. Just don't know.
Okay.
He's on the road. But can you guys hear us? Are we good?
Yeah, I hear you. Hopefully, hopefully let us know if you can hear us, y'all. I hear you though, Ron.
All right. Well,
But
if you
yeah,
can't hear us, we'll get the sound corrected. But what I want you to do in the meantime, whether you can hear us or not, hit like and subscribe, comment, share, do what you do. We are here on a Thursday afternoon to bring you all things hip hop. Got a good show for you today. We're going to
yes,
talk
sir.
about Joey Badass. We're going to talk about the diversity of sound in business with Xzibit and Nipsey Hussle. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Ransom and Jay-Z. I think the song is called Mosque. The song's called Mosque, right?
They got a song called Moss. They got another song called Farewell. So two singles out, but both of them.
So Ransom,
I do this. Yeah, I do this every day, so we could go every day. But I'm on it.
Ransom
Let's
and
do it.
Ransom and Davies. And we're going to talk about. There's been
Shout out to
chatter.
Ram.
We're fresh off of Goat Talk. Goat Talk's been a good series with Mike and Leroy. Just wrapped up our second episodes. If you haven't seen it, Goat Talk, the great MC debate, starring
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Lamar and Tupac Shakur. We had Goat Talk with Nas and Jay-Z. That series is on fire right now, so go check it out if you haven't. There's another episode that Leroy and Mike are cooking up. We won't give that away now because a lot of the people be biting the styles. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't gonna tell y'all what
Bite
we
it.
cooking up. But
Bite it.
Goat Talk, more Goat Talk is coming. So we appreciate you tapping into Goat Talk. Shout out to Servan Chanel Ray interview that dropped. The
Oh.
weekend rhyme will be this weekend. Mic check.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Rhyme and Reasons tonight. What else we got? We got
Well,
so
check
many
it. Check it.
shows
Hope,
in the
hopefully,
pipeline.
people caught the nuances with that conversation about Tupac and Kendrick. Hopefully, people could catch some nuance there. You know what I mean? And see how you could big up two artists at the same time without trying to knock an artist down. You could just say both of these artists is fire. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be like that. There are different chambers to being a great artist. If I say the game has great bar work and E40 has a great malleable flow, you see how both of them do something great. I don't have to knock down one to big up another or vice versa. You feel what I'm saying? So it's nuance involved in that. And they're still breaking down the performances, by the way, just so people know. Yeah, I mean, they're still breaking down the halftime performance. Some people like that. Some people don't like that. Some people don't like complexities. Some people don't like simplicity. But what we're attempting to do is, like Pac said, he would spark the mind that would change the future. So I took that as a mission of him saying, I want hip hop to grow. So what we're attempting to do is put some things on the table so that hip hop could grow. We're going to talk about the style. We're going to talk about deliveries, musicality, because I think he would want the culture to grow. That's all. Some people are going to like that. Some people not going to like that. Like I said, there's messages in the music. I said Kendrick did the song High Power with three eyes, and it was alluding to a third eye vision. Some people can't even get that, even though it's spelled out in front of them. They totally miss that still. So some people got to get left behind, right? But then there's some people that's going to evolve. So we're going to try to talk to those that's going to evolve. That's it. You know what I mean?
And no doubt, and hit us in the messages, hit us in the chat, hit us in the email, hit us in the comments. Let us know who do y'all want to see Mike and Leroy dissect on Goat Talk. I know we got some more goat conversations to have. We want to
Mm-hmm.
break down what a goat is, what a goat ain't, what a goat
Right.
should be. That's coming up. But let us know who we
Doubt.
should talk about in the next Goat Talk series. It could be groups, it could be individual MCs, but whatever. Let's jump right into the show. And no poets around. We have not heard about the new Jay-Z accusations. We don't know about that, so we won't speak on it. But let's talk about
I
Joey.
mean, that's
Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's for the courts anyway. We got to stop jumping to accusations. I know people want to be police officers, but go down and apply to be a police officer if that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? But we need to just let police do what they do, and then we do hip hop. That's what we do. You feel me? So
No, no doubt, no doubt. No, so Joey Badass dropped the record, dropped the EP. What did he drop? Like a couple songs the day
yeah,
before
he
yesterday.
dropped "Pardon Me." It's another response record, which I big up. You know what I mean? Which I big up because again, I'm about the competitive rapping, but he's not out here fake beefing or trying to diss. You know what I mean? He's just saying, "I do what I do," right? And he's repping New York. Some people, they feel away. Oh, he's not. He shouldn't be repping. Bro, Joey been repping for a long time as far as the artistry and the sound. So I think at this point he could represent, man. We know who Joey Badass is. So his song "Pardon Me," I thought it was dope. Arsonist from the Heat Makers on the beat. Heat Makers super fire, man. Always thought they was fire. So the beat's dope. He has some lines in there. I'm gonna go to the bars this time. Verse. He said, I'm too hot to handle. They ain't no Joe still on like Rambo. So Stallone still on. It's a homophone leading to a punchline. Niggas bleed like us. So get your men straight, cause I could really put your men on pause. Again, a bar. It's you don't have to think that they're the best bars. But what I'm saying is we got to start recognizing certain techniques for a reason. I know some people don't like that, but what we're trying to do is elevate the writing. So that's why we're pointing out certain things. Paint pictures like blood. Paint pictures with your blood like Maria Abramovic, Michelangelo with the brush of Van Gogh. Slide the door, paint your house, then watch the Van Gogh. So these are performance bars. You know what I mean? So it's performative arts. I know you have mentioned Maria Abramovich before, and that's cool. But there's a performative aspect to hitting a stage, performing, or writing bars that you intend to have a crowd response. So that's really the play behind the bar itself. Um, Poets and rhymers, you Liberty. Oh, you're good, poets and rhymers, but we got it. We got it. You're good. You know what I mean? So, keep us informed, but we ain't gonna let the police do their thing. But anyway, Joey Badass, that was a dope song. And again, like the beat, like the competitive nature of it. And, he's representing the city, and it could be looked at as one way or another. I think it's constructive. Like I was saying before the K Dot and Drake battle jumped off. I don't think everything has to be a career ending thing. Some things could just be songs that you're going back and forth for the sake of dope lyricism. Why not? You know what I mean? And I think he's earned the right to do that. New York City, get behind your guy. You may not like him, but you don't have to necessarily like him. But he's not bad. He's repping the city and he's doing his thing. So you know what I mean? I enjoyed the song, and I know the West gonna keep keep going back and forth. But what I like about it is it's just based on who's the nicest. Like that's really what they're saying. You know what I mean? So I enjoy that. And he's holding it down. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like I said, I appreciate competitiveness in hip hop.
Competitiveness.
Competition in hip hop. I like it, right? I dig it. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of it. It's part of the art,
hmm
right?
Yes,
But
sir.
I think you can compete by the music too, right? You can compete by
It's a song.
just making dope songs. But I'm saying it's a song,
Yeah.
but you can compete by making dope records and dope albums, right? That's a
Yes.
form of
hmm
competition as well. And I think sometimes we get
hmm
away from that. I know there's an element of battle rap, battle culture. There's tournaments, there's leagues. You know what I'm saying? With
All
that,
that.
people put it in their rhymes and their raps. But also, I
hmm
think there's a aspect of competition that we may be missing, and just make dope
Yeah.
albums, right? Just make a fly video, and I'm not
He
knocking
has
his
those.
approach. I'm not knocking his approach, but just make some dope.
He
What?
got dope albums. They're all available. Y'all want to go buy a Joey Badass album? He got them. Now I know what you mean. You mean moving forward, right?
Yeah,
But as
moving
far as
forward. Sometimes
he got the dope albums already there.
we linger
You know
on
what I
it
mean?
too much. We linger on this on the competition too much. I think both Drake and Kendrick lingered on the competition too much. You know what I'm saying? Get in, get
Okay.
out. Throw your shots and just
Mm,
let it, let it go. You know what I'm saying? I think it was just the build up, 616 in LA, Euphoria. Uh
mm.
it was just kind of gets overkill at sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Tailor
But
made,
he had to do
push
that. That was
ups.
Drake.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
Drake.
yeah. So I again, I think,
It would be the equivalent of you coming out to take down Jay-Z. So how are you going to take down Jay-Z? You can't make one song and take down Jay. You're going to have to make a number of songs and then slowly take down Jay. So that was the thing with Kendrick and and Drake. But when it comes to like certain arguments, again, like people make the album argument about artists that already have albums. So I hear what you're saying, but he already checked that box. And I'm not against moving forward, what you mean, but he's already proven a certain thing. Then we have the numbers argument. Oh, well, this person went platinum. That's great, but always going platinum doesn't dictate everything. Drake has went platinum 200 million times. That didn't mean that he couldn't be beat in battle, though. You know what I mean? So it's like the the numbers argument too. We got to get past that. It's a lot of numbers arguments in hip hop. It's a lot of numbers arguments in the pod space. But just because you got numbers don't mean you're saying shit. It don't mean you're saying shit. Wendy Williams had numbers, but she's not the wake up show. You know what I'm saying? So it's what are you saying? What are you saying? And Kendrick put it back to like, what are you saying? Joey Badass right now, he ain't got to be the best rapper in the world. You know what I mean? And people could say, okay, well, Ray Vaughn got him. Joey, or somebody could say Joey got him or something. But that it's based on now we're getting into actual bars. What are you saying? Are you just bloviating, or are you saying something? Are you fake beefing, or are you really saying something that's worth a damn? You know what I mean? So that's what I enjoy about it. You know,
Yeah, and
and he's repping.
we'll continue to
Yeah.
monitor. I think it's good competition. Again, it's very healthy. Rap is
Hmm.
a competitive sport. So if this can
Yes,
invigorate an
sir.
artist to make some dope material, drop some fresh fire, some music, I'm all for it. But shout out to Joey. We're gonna continue to monitor this situation. Hopefully he'll drop a full length project soon. I don't know if he's alluding to that. I think he may be. This
I
may be
hope so.
maybe a build up. But let's jump into the next topic. You wanted to
Okay.
talk specifically about Nipsey Hussle. I don't know if this is
Mm,
a joint topic with Nipsey and Xzibit, but you want to talk about the business and the
yeah.
conversion of hip hop. So let's talk Nipsey a little bit. What did you want to
Okay.
cover on that?
So I was just talking about the diversity in sound and the culture, right? There's a diversity there. We all don't operate the same way that Tupac operated with Death Row. We have different ways of operating. And that's fine. It's not that one is better than the other, or it's just different ways. We have different flows. We have different approaches to the music. So I'll get into the exhibit part because that's a sound argument, right? And then this is a business argument. Recently, Nipsey Hussle, well, just yesterday, on YouTube, you could look up Extra Laps Part Two, right? So I've heard a couple of these songs before, but it's Nipsey doing what Nipsey does. Nipsey has a particular perspective, right? That is multi-layered. Is he the best rapper in the world? Maybe not, but he has a multi-layered approach and lyricism, and there are reasonings behind what he does. But his strongest element is the business factor, and I think that also should be an element because a lot of times we talk about culture, right? But we have lost some things in the culture as well. We can't act like turntablism is as popping as MCing is right now. We can't act like the graffiti element is as popular as MCing right now. We can't act like breakdancing is still as strong as it was in the late 80s, early 90s. So we're losing some of our elements. So what are we going to replace those losing elements with? I'm not here to say what it should be. I'm here to listen in case people out there have suggestions. But I think a business aspect should be an element now. You know what I mean? Based upon what did Pac say? He would spark the mind that would change the future. So he's saying there should be a continuation in hip hop, right? So Nipsey's chamber is a business chamber. You know what I mean? He's not looking to sign to a label. He's signing the label to him. That's a different way of looking at things. So he had a new EP out, Extra Laps 2. For those of y'all that heard Extra Laps before, that was fire. First song, County Jail, fire. That's keeping the faith during whatever you're going through. We all going through stuff, right? I'm going through stuff that's what's in the song, you know, County Jail, right? But it's like, are you gonna pull through? Right? That's where the faith comes in. That if you know you real, can't nothing, nobody or nothing can stop you anyway. You know what I mean? So that's about pushing through. Hotel Suite. We talk about the flow. Nipsey has a particular flow that's signature, right? It's based on him pausing, right? There's also a flow that he has that's a continuation, meaning he doesn't have to stop at the end of a bar. Why do you have to stop at the end of a bar? There's no rule that's saying you have to stop. You could keep rapping through that bar and end in the middle of the next bar if that's what you chose to do. But the second verse, he uses a trap flow. What does a trap flow over a sample beat sound like? Let's investigate these things. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean is, do you only use a trap flow with a trap beat, or can a trap flow be used in all the different beats? Right? So that's another element that we got to look for to push forward. Smoking with my stylist, inspiration song. Respect the passion. He said make a master plan, watch it backfire, burn down, then collect the ashes, build it back. Respect the passion, right? So until you build a business and watch it collapse and not work, I don't know if you going really as hard as you could be going, because the notion that everybody's businesses is successful right off top, that's not realistic. You know what I mean? It's like, for those of us that are independent rappers or people in the business, your first few business endeavors, it probably didn't work. That's necessary. That's a necessary step that everybody must have, because that's going to show you what works. Shining like Vegas, fire song. You know what I mean? Proud of that. That song was dope, man. You know what I mean? He said, I did dirt because I was climbing out the grave. You know, so it's like, there are reasons to why a Nipsey Hussle, it emerges, right? There are reasons for that. There are reasons for certain people involving themselves in the gang culture, or certain moves that get made, right? So what I like about Nipsey is, it's not just all out savagery. He gives a reasoning for why he learned to hustle and did what he did. It's not aimless, you know what I mean? It's not purposeless. So again, the Extra Laps EP part 2, I thought was fire. And I do think that we should, somebody, I'm not saying who it gotta be, the people out there can pick, but somebody should carry that torch, right? You know what I mean? Or attempt to, and you're doing your own thing. It's not like carrying Nipsey's torch means that you are Nipsey now. It means you do your own thing, but you carry on a certain business ethic, a certain business agility, that pays respect to someone like Nipsey that came before you, because that was he had great business sense, great business models, and he was looking to add on in the same way that, when Jay came in through the door in the 90s, he was looking to add on. When other rappers came through, Master P in the early 90s, he was looking to add on. Jay Prince, E40, they all did certain maneuvers with business that was saying, hey, let's control the business. So it was dope, man. So I was happy to see that and listen to that. You know what I mean? When it
No
came out.
doubt, no doubt. Yo, shout out to Servon. Shout out to Super Duper. Super Duper is not on the show today. He is in the Yellowstone Mountains. I think he's at the Dutton Ranch. I
Okay.
don't
All
I don't know what
right.
he's doing. I think he's somewhere, on a Dutton Ranch, rounding up cattle and whatever the case he do. Whatever he's doing out there, man. Be safe, brother.
Yeah.
Servon, dope
Get
interview,
in
man. If you
tune with
haven't seen an
nature.
interview with Chanel Ray, check out the interview that Servon cooked up, man. Servon is
Mhm.
his interviews is on point, man. He did the Akon interview, the Chanel Ray. He
Yeah.
got more interviews down the pipeline. But shout out to our guys. Mike D is in the building. He'll be here on Monday. But yeah, but Nipsey, man, Nipsey. When I think about Nipsey, I think about the what was it, the $100 mixtape? Was it $1,000 mixtape? What was it?
Both. It
Yeah,
was
he had
both.
both,
He.
man. I thought that was ingenious. The
Mhm.
ingenuity of him as an entrepreneur. Because I always, before I even heard Nipsey rap, I heard about the legend of his hustle, right? Him,
Mhm.
the mixtape was just percolating. Like this dude selling a mixtape for $100. You know what I'm saying? Nipsey selling a
Right.
mixtape for 1,000. So his reputation preceded him even rapping. And then when um, he started bubbling, and when he hit with Victory Lap, he was
Exactly.
out of here. You know what I mean? So again, I think it's a thing that you call out, the to be astute in business and marrying that to the way you approach the music as well. You know what I'm saying? It's a combination. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people had that. You mentioned Jay Prince. You can also talk about Tony Draper, what Tony Draper was doing. I think Gilly had a comment on Club Shay Shay the other day. He said he knew
Mm.
this rap game had money when he rolled up to Tony Draper's house, right? And you're not gonna see
Right.
a Wikipedia about Tony Draper. And for those that know Tony Draper's Suave House, right?
No
You're
doubt.
not gonna hear anything about Tony Draper. You don't got no IG, you ain't got no Facebook page, you ain't gonna have no
Mm.
Wikipedia. But what Gilly says that he knew that there's money in hip hop based upon seeing these folks in the background. Another person that
Right.
approached it from an entrepreneurial level, Kendrick Spirits, even 50 Cent. 50 Cent has always approached his music, from an entrepreneurial mindset, right? Whether it be G Unit or films or way he
Mhm.
approached the mixtape game. So, it's and even when P was in the Bay, so he got his hustle from the Bay and E40, how they are not selling millions and millions of records, but they're
Yeah.
successful. They're
They're selling
successful in
millions of records.
yeah, well, I mean,
You
they're not. You wouldn't know it, but they're not selling.
wouldn't know it.
They're not
Right.
advertising that these people sold 100 million records or 50 million records, but they're selling records and they're in that ecosystem out in the Bay, and they're successful businessmen. So shout out to the people that paved the
Yeah.
way. The Master P, the E40, the Tony Drapers, the Jay
And
Prince. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and even Master P, getting what he got from the Bay, it's one thing to get the knowledge, but then you still have to execute. So just because Master P got a certain information or certain bugs in his ear, he still had to execute it. Because a lot of people, from the Bay, but still executing that play is still hard to do. You know what I mean? So he was able to actually put the knowledge and apply it. You know what I mean? Now some people will say, like one person just said Nipsey's music is average or whatever. There are all different types of opinions to music, right? Nipsey speaks to a certain culture, but some of these dudes is from real places. They not just rappers. They actually are from the cloth they say they from. So they didn't come up like with a musical background like that. They came really off the street corner for real. So it's like to make that transition is a tough thing to do. And then he bet on himself. You know what I mean? That takes a certain confidence because not everybody's gonna tell you you're nice. I'm sure when he started rapping, people was like, "No, bro, like that ain't gonna work." You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're gonna hear. If you're not people ain't just gonna be like, "Oh, you super fire." You know what I mean? So for some people, it's like that, but for most people, they're not gonna come in and people like, oh, you super fired. They're gonna be like, you cool, but it's just what you do with that. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the best rapper, but the mind it takes to push forward, that takes a different fuel, and he had that. You know what I mean? So it's just a divert. I think the business aspect, we should start to look at that. The last episode we talked about performance because obviously Kendrick just did the huge performance. So right now, just talking about the business, you know what I mean? So performance, business. So let's start talking about these things.
Yeah, we need to get somebody. I would love to have P on. I know Savon is kind of working on that in the background. I love to have P on. I like to
Yeah,
talk to Tony Draper. I like to talk to Jay Prince. I like to talk to
the door's open, man.
just people in the
I
game,
mean,
man. Just, even Dame, and we ain't in the Dame interview won't even be on some like tell me about. We don't have to even talk about Jay. We're gonna talk about the business of hip hop. His stories of
yeah,
in
but
business. You know what I'm saying? We don't even have to have the interview and talk
most,
about the old stories.
yeah, I mean, most people, we can get on the show. That's not a problem. It's just, what do the people hear? Who would you like to hear from, and what is going to be gained from the conversation? That's what I'm most, because I'm not just going to be calling these people just to call them. Do you know what I mean? Something has to be gained. You know what I'm saying? And it's like with Dame Dash, I'm not opposed to that, but Dame Dash has already dropped a lot of game to where I don't know what more he could say. We know Dame's position when it comes to business. He's about taking no deal. You don't ever sign nothing. You do everything 100% independent, and that's it. If you do a partnership with somebody, that's one thing. But Dame is about, you know 100% independent. So we know that that's his opinion. Now, if there's something else that I missed, we could try to make that happen. But that's where he stands. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we'll see. You know?
We'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned. We got a lot of things coming down the
Yeah.
pipeline. But let's get to the next topic. I know Xzibit, you wanted to talk about Xzibit a little bit. I know I saw him the other
Hmm.
day. I was watching the news. It was very odd because sometimes on my TV, in the background, news just pops up. Like I don't even turn to the news, but when I turn my TV on, I think it defaults to like some kind of it's a Samsung TV. Whatever app they
Right.
have on Samsung, it just pops up with the feed. But it was like the ABC News app, and I was in the kitchen and it just popped up and said, "We're gonna talk to rapper Exhibit about his new album." But it was like the world news on ABC or something. It was crazy. So I
Yeah.
saw Exhibit pop up. He was talking about his album, and you wanted to talk about him today. Floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Well. First, he's taking a different business approach too. So if you see him on the world news, you know p- that's a different approach. You know what I mean? And the world news organizations are tapped into hip hop. So a lot of us in hip hop, we don't take that avenue. Just throwing that out there. You know what I'm saying? So they are familiar with hip hop, and they're open, and you can get promo in on the world news stage or on news stations. I don't know if we know that, but the door is open. Okay, so that's one thing. Second, with Exhibit though, I saw him on the Math Office show, but we all know his music. He's coming out with Kingmaker. That's his new album. But I just wanted to talk about diversity of sound now, because there's a certain sound that we have been talking about, which is an Alchemist sound, and people are like, "Well, that's East Coast," and I got no issue with people saying that's East Coast. But let me also just remind you that the West Coast has a history and sound that's not all G Funk, or that's not all mob music. You know what I mean? There's another sound that is a hip hop boom bap type of sound, and that has a history. So Exhibit, when you go back through his catalog, it's going to start sounding very G-funkish, but then the further back you go up into that first album, it's going to start sounding like, some boom bap type of hip hop, and that sound has always been there. So that's what I'm saying. There's a history of that sound that Alchemist emerged from, that's been here, and Exhibit is part of that. I was going to add on Evidence as well. If anybody, y'all go through Evidence catalog, The Weatherman, Lord Steppington, um, Whether or Not, the Layover mixtape, I Don't Need Love EP, Cats and Dogs, which is the best album that year, which is a classic in my opinion. These sounds have kind of always been there on the West Coast. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why, when I saw Exhibit, it just brought up that a certain sound from the West Coast that people don't always identify with the West Coast, because they view it as, okay, if this person is chopping up records in a certain way, it must be East Coast. I'm not mad at that opinion. However, there are certain things that West Coast producers do that they've been doing since King T. They've been doing since Freestyle Fellowship. They've been doing since Cypress Hill. They've been doing since, way back. You know what I mean? So, and there's, of course, there's producers that are from the East that live on the West. There's producers that are from the West, moved out to the East. But what I just wanted to just bring attention to the sound. With this album, of course, Kingmaker. I'm looking forward to that. I've always been a Exhibit fan, so when Exhibit drops his album, I'm gonna check it out. I don't know what exactly the date is. Maybe he said it and I missed it, but when it drops, I'm definitely gonna check it out. You know what I mean?
Did he mention who's producing this album? I know I saw a picture of him and Dr. Dre in the studio a couple weeks back. Is Dre on this album?
I don't know. I hope he is because they have a certain chemistry that's always been dope to me. But I don't know. From what I hear though, I hear the album's pretty fire though. You know what I mean? Just singles wise, I like the singles so far. You know what I mean?
Because he
So
shot a video for a couple of them, right? It was a couple of he shot a
yeah,
video. Like this is back before the year was out. He shot a video. I forgot the
no,
name of
yeah,
that
no,
track, but it was dope.
yeah, no, it was dope. I mean, he has a certain delivery that's fire. Tone of voice and how he's delivering and fire, how hard that sounds and whatnot. Beat his ear for beats. He has his own ear for beats that I think is dope because it fits his delivery. So I'm looking forward to it. So that's the only thing. I just wanted to bring up a diversity of sound. We got a business, what I mean, a way of doing business that's a different model. We got a diversity of sound. We just showing you different layers of the West Coast, and then later I'll go into performance. Back into performance again because there's another artist coming out on Friday who he was able to blow off performance. That's really what blew him up. So we're just gonna keep it moving. You know what I
Who
mean?
coming out? You said somebody coming out Friday. Who coming out Friday?
Well, Friday, we got Ransom and Davies, of course. I can get into that for a second. Then we got Smith and Wesson. Shout out to the Soul Council. You know what I mean? I ain't dropping no music until Soul Council green lights it. But they've been among my favorite producers for the last 15 years. And we got St. John, and St. John is what I was going to speak to as far as the performance. Y'all go watch his performance in London from his first record, Collection One. But he has a performative aspect, but musically too as well. When I talked about Kendrick and his delivery, St. John's delivery and his musicality is different because is it rap or is it R&B or is it both or is it some new hybrid? What is St. John's music? What is his flow? Is his flow the regular standard 1, 2, 3, 4? Is he doing a Ja Rule type of flow? Is he do like what is his flow? Is he, so what I'm saying is we have range. We don't have to just do one thing for the next generation of hip hop. We can combine all the ingredients that we have musically and just make an overarching music. You know what I mean? That's still hip hop, but it has a little bit of everything. So that's the only reason why I was gonna bring him up. And he has great. So those things are coming out. Ransom and Dave East, um, St. John, and Smith and Wesson. Smith and Wesson. That's y'all. If y'all know Smith and Wesson, that's that real. It's some real street music coming out. So
No doubt. Now,
that's what's
did you want to talk about the Ransom and Davies? What your expectations
yeah.
are of the project? You want to talk about that for a little bit?
So both artists, both Ransom and Davies, their last solo albums was fire. Like Ransom with the Cabrini Green project and Dave East with Living Proof. Those were fire records. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they do on their albums because both these dudes is fire. Singles I've heard so far, like Mosque or whatever he said, beheaded rappers talking about jewelry. They don't know I'm cold as ISIS. I'm cold as ice is. So again, these homophone bars or entendre that becomes a punchline, right? But these are certain mechanics that only a super skilled MC would know. And shout out to Ransom because he does know he knows every technique. Okay, this is a super mastered skilled MC. You know what I mean? So, um, I'm looking forward to it. Dave East, his last solo album was dope. So now both of these guys together on the same album, that's looking to be fire. The single that I heard today probably came out today, Farewell. That was a dope record. You know what I mean? That was a dope record. Basically, like farewell to the streets. I know that like I'm saying, from a cultural aspect, we've always said, well, hip hop is the streets, etc., etc. But at a certain point, when do you separate yourself from the street? Just a question. That's all. So they speak to that. You know what I mean? And I think that that is very needed. I think a certain maturity is needed. You know, once you have reached a certain point in your MCing or in your career, in life in general, and then you're just putting that in the music, in the messages of the music, and letting it go from there. You know what I mean? So I look forward to it. Um, the final call is what the album is called. So final call, you know, like the NOI newspaper from back in the day. Um, it should be fire. It should be fire. And even that is a message in itself. You know, I remember seeing the NOI in Oakland selling newspapers and stuff like that back in the day. These were street guys. Then one minute they're street guys, you don't see them for a while. They come back in suits and they're very articulate, very intelligent. They're you know starting businesses and becoming very business minded. That's a jewel. You know, it shows a progression in life. You know what I mean? You started one way, then you progressed into something else. You know, that's a fire message. You know, so I look forward to it. You know, what I mean, at the end
No
of the
doubt. We're
day.
looking forward to that album. Shout out to Dave East and Ransom. We'll check out that album on Friday. On the weekend rhyme, you check back with us. We probably give a preliminary review because sometimes we gotta let it sit. We gotta sit with the music. We don't want to just jump out the window and review it. You know, off the rip. You know what I'm saying? We want to sit with it for a little bit, but we'll have initial thoughts. We'll have initial thoughts
Yeah.
on Saturday. But Leroy, you've been wanting to talk about this topic for a very, very long time.
What's that?
We haven't talked about it, but you wanted to talk about the comparison. It's been at least about a month or so since you brought this topic up. Um,
Okay, I thought you was gonna leave it alone. Where we
no,
going?
no, we want to talk about the people have been
Okay,
saying that life is good and
right.
444 has similar vibes. I've got my own opinion
It's
on it,
not
but
what they saying. Yeah, they saying
but
it's a copy. It's a
okay,
straight up
okay. So let's clarify. There's been
copy.
you've heard chatter. People in our
Mm,
space, people in our audience, or people just in hip hop in general, says that 444 is a copy of Life is
yes,
Good by Nas.
yes.
I have my thoughts on that, but before I share my thoughts, the floor is yours and why you disagree with this notion that it's
Okay.
not a copy.
Well, I am serious in these remarks, but it's I'm joking because I like to piss off the Nas heads, and I guess that's what's gonna be my role here. You know what I mean? Maybe I made some Pac fans upset, bigging up Kendrick. Hey, sorry, but so sometimes I'm here to just piss y'all off. You know what I mean? And that's what it's gonna be. But over the years, um, back in the day, I made an argument about Life is Good, and I was saying how dope it was and how people wasn't even saying nothing about it. That's one thing. But then, an argument started to emerge about 444 biting Life is Good. And this is what I mean by nuances and really listening to projects to know what you're hearing. Now, in my view, I can't think of two albums that are more different. Like these two albums are very, very different. So how people are saying that it's one is taken from the other, I didn't hear it. I've heard these albums several times over the years. I'm not hearing the copy of what you're hearing here. And yes, they have the same producer. No ID, he doesn't hear it either. He's heard that. He doesn't hear what the copy is. Both of these men have daughters. If you're saying Jay-Z having a daughter is biting other people that have daughters, okay. But that is about the only thing that these two albums have in common because thematically, musically, lyrically, whatever E you want to use, these are not the same album. I don't know who, I don't know where people got that from, why people have insisted on that, but these two albums couldn't be any more different, even in vibe. Whatever vibe that you think is similar between these two albums, I don't know what vibe you're catching. So that's it. I just wanted to put that to rest because that argument's been going on for years. Nobody's gonna put it to rest, so I will. If y'all need me to big up Nas later on, there's been some cultural things going on about our distant relatives versus FBA. FBA we have the culture, right? We know what the culture is, but I may later on I'll go through distant relatives to show why, we got some distant relatives as well, right? However, though, these two albums, 444 and Life is Good, I'm not hearing the musical comparison. If one of y'all want to come on and break that down for me, why this is a copy of something else, I don't hear that. And like I said, I've heard these albums several times. So, old Baldy, what's up? So I just wanted to clarify that because there's been a bunch of arguments made, and even with the grown argument, right? Like these albums are the grown adult album. Well, um, if you go back to Kingdom Come, people were saying that there's no way that people are going to support Jay-Z anymore. They were saying it's impossible because they're saying Jay-Z is over 35. Nobody's going to buy your album from somebody that's over 35. Now, I know that sounds strange now in 2025, but I'm talking about a mentality that was prevalent in the mid 2000s. So in the mid 2000s, if you're over 35, they can't picture you still rapping. That doesn't make sense in their mind. So when Kingdom Come comes out, and a lot of the write-ups about the album, the promotion for the album, they were saying, well, this is going to be an adult contemporary rap. These are when the first few sightings of that phrase is being used. Also grown man rap, also mature hip hop. Like those phrasings of words in certain ways that came out with Kingdom Come. Now, if there's another album that these things were brought up in almost every write up, then let me know. I'm here for the discussion. But what I mean is that's not an argument either. You know what I mean? That's not an argument. Like, but specifically with 444 and Life is Good, these two albums are very different. So we have to stop with one is copying the other because I'm not hearing the copy. That's all. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, I mean, to prepare for the show, I went back and listened to Life is Good just to make sure I didn't,
Mhm.
wasn't missing anything. There's not really a copy per se because 444 was 10 tracks. The
Yeah.
deluxe version of Life is Good is about 18 tracks. There's almost double the amount of music, right? I think what people are saying thematically, he does touch on some different themes, some grown up themes on both the albums, like adult themes. Like they're both talking from a perspective of parents, right? So the family feud is one. You talk about legacy on 444. You talk about family strife on Bye Baby. Um,
But
Stay.
is that there? Is Nas really talking about family on Life
Well,
is
he's
Good?
talking about his wife and a relationship with his wife and how that deteriorated. So I think there's some kind of
It,
there's a
is he?
parallel. It's a thematic parallel there that I think people
Is,
are reaching to when they say 444 and Life is Good. But Life is Good also has Cherry Wine with Amy Winehouse, it has Nasty, has the Dawn, it has other the song with Rick Ross, which I wasn't a big fan of. What is it called?
accident
Murders or
murder.
something? Accidental
But
Murders.
here's what I'm saying. Nas, yes, he speaks about his relationship, but there is context to him and his relationship, right? Jay is talking about family. He's talking about his mother, his father, daughter, wife. That's family. So there's some separation there. Now, if
Well,
we
no,
want
he
to say
says, he
the
says, he
same,
says, brother's busting all through the curtain because she hurting. She keep losing the babies because the family's uncertain. That's about his relationship a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it's about the whole family. Like
Right.
444 is his relationship to the whole family and what he's going to leave behind. I get what people are saying. They think maybe Nas's mentality is in a certain space. But as far as the rhymes itself, his rhymes are very directly talking about specific things with his ex-wife at the time and then also her daughters. These are two very specific things. Now, this is not him addressing his whole family. This is not him. This is not even him addressing the intricacies of his relationship. He's speaking on it. He's speaking on leaving it. He's speaking on leaving it. But what I'm saying is, I think people are trying to force a copy. 444 is just you're copying. I think you're forcing it rather than seeing that these actually are two very different albums. You know what I mean?
I mean, you got Someone on Smash is a very different record. I like that record. I don't think Mike likes that record too much, but Swiss and Miguel, Summer on Smash, Summer on Smash. I like
No,
that
I
joint.
like that record. I like that.
I thought it was a cool record. You know what I mean? I
But
didn't
life,
dislike it.
yeah, life is good, right? Life is good sounds sonically like life is good sonically because the album is called Life is Good. 444, does it sonically sound like he has the summer on Smash? That's not really what he was going for. You know what I'm
No, it was
saying?
just Summer on Smash is a smooth record. I mean, you got Swiss on the joint, but I mean, it's just it's a laid back party summertime record. It's more of like a lounge type joint, but it's like he's saying it's on Smash, but it's more of a laid back type of. I can't. It's hard to
Yeah,
describe that record. It's a
we get what
party
it is,
joint,
but
but it's a vibe to it if you know what I mean.
people when people say this album is copying another album, then it has to be a copy. You know what I mean? It can't be totally different and also copying because that doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a copy. What Nas is doing is saying life is good, and the songs sound like life is good, literally. Jay-Z is saying, I'm addressing an issue with Beyonce and how it affects my daughter. And the music sounds like he's addressing an issue with Beyonce and his daughter and coming to grips with his mom's life and his father's life. These are totally different albums. I don't know where the copy is what I'm saying. Now again, if you think Jay having a daughter is copying Nas having a daughter, okay. But there's no copy musically or even lyrically. There's the contexts are different, the subject matters are very different, the vibes and beats are very different, even though the same person worked on both. But he don't even hear the comparison himself. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
When he made 444, he said, I never made an album like 444 before. This is no ID saying that. So, you know what I mean?
again, I want to see. I do think people want to hear another Jay Z album. I think there should be another record. I would like to see him work with I don't know. I don't know who he should work with. We've already had this conversation millions of times, but I think he should work with maybe
Well,
the Alchemist. Maybe the Alchemist would be a good, but Alchemist have to switch his tempo a little bit and try to give Jay some more up tempo stuff. Put some drums in his. He's going to
I
work.
don't know. Yeah. Well, I think I know which direction the album is going, but I don't want I'm not gonna say it completely because um he may change up. But there's already been stuff said about his next album, or if it even gonna come out and who did the beats. That's already out there. If people want to look that up, right?
Right.
But Alchemist though, what would be the point of Jay working with Alchemist? Now, it would be fire, but what's going to happen? And actually, they already work together too. That's one thing. But that when they did work together on a written testimony, that's more likely what's going to happen. Some kind of alien sound that we've never heard before. Jay's not gonna do the same thing twice. I think people should know that by now. So whatever he does is not going to be the same thing, but it doesn't have to be complicated either. Like Jay always has the right to just rap about his real life. Whenever you don't know what to rap about, you can always rap about real life. Yeah, so
Right. Right.
whenever Jay does that, his real life is going to sound like fire on record.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Poets and rhymers asked me directly in the chat. I like Life is Good. I did. I mean,
I liked it.
Queen Story was dope. I like Locomotive. Daughters without saying. Y'all don't like Someone on Smash. I like Someone on Smash. The Dawn,
The, yeah, the thing,
Nasty's
yeah,
dope.
he went to the club. We've always wanted to hear Nas in the club. Now, maybe y'all have not wanted to hear that, but I grew up on Nas. So I always wanted to hear Nas in the club because I got a bunch of Nas albums with him not in the club already.
Well,
So
I
when
mean,
life
wait a minute, wait a minute.
no, no, when life comes out, that's for the club. And I'm glad Nas was in the club. If y'all don't want to say it's for the club, listen to that album again. What Sonics are we talking about? Then go to the club and see if they line up,
I mean,
especially at that time.
I've heard.
If they line up.
Listen, we've been outside around the same amount of time. I've heard Nas out in the club. Hate Me Now was in the club. I've
You
heard.
know what I mean? Not one song. I mean like the whole record.
Well,
You could play the
this whole
you
record. I
could
mean,
play the whole record. You could play the whole Life is Good album. It's gonna ring off in the club. That's Club Nas.
nah, I
That's
wouldn't
club
say
level
that. I
Nas.
mean, it's lounge Nas. I wouldn't say it's club Nas because you can hear Cherry Wine in the lounge.
What's not gonna ring off?
You can hear Bye Baby in the lounge. You can hear someone
That-
Smash in the
They're,
lounge. But
they're
I
all
didn't hear it
ringing
in.
off in the club.
You ain't gonna hear it in no clubs. Like
Why
shout
not?
out to my folks in NYC. This club I like to go to called Slate. You might hear that in Slate. You know what I mean? But
Any
yeah,
of them records is gonna ring off in the club. In my opinion, I think you could roll the dice or and then stop it on anywhere on Life is Good, and it's probably gonna go in the club. Like because when I heard the record, I immediately thought Def Jam. Because and now we and Def Jam did do the album. When I hear a super mainstream artist with a Def Jam release, I know that they have a club ear. I just know they do because it's Def Jam. You know what I mean? Not that they don't have a street ear, but I know Def Jam has a club ear. So when I'm listening to Life is Good, I'm like, yeah, that would work, that would work, that would work. All these multiple records would work in the club.
I heard
And
Major
I
look in.
I never got that from
I've heard Major look in the club. I've heard it. Me
yeah,
personally, I've
but
heard
you're mentioning one song that was you're mentioning a single
Uchi
that they
Wally.
have to play anyway, and you're mentioning singles and the one offs. I'm talking about the most of this whole record of Life is Good. You could have played that in the club and it would have went. Would it have been the number one record in the club? No, but the club at least I don't go to clubs no more. When I used to go, unless it's an occasion, people got parties or whatever. When I used to go to the club, clubs went up and down. They didn't hold the same vibe the entire time. They would go up and down in vibe. It would go fast, slow, fast, slow. So if you look at it that way, and you play Life is Good, fast, slow,
You
fast.
talking about the discos? They used to call them discos back.
No, they had to go fast and slow because you weren't just gonna go crazy the entire time. You were gonna go talk, go have a drink, go dance, go socialize. You might go to the car, smoke, come back. It was a whole thing that you didn't do the same thing all night. You know what I
Well,
mean?
in Atlanta, it was the
Yeah.
same thing all night long. So
Okay.
our clubs is a little different, Leroy. I'm gonna have to speak to my
I give
folks
you
in the
okay.
South. It's just one thing all day long, especially when Jeezy came out. You know what I'm saying? It was just one thing. But see, we had our clubs. We had Visions, shout out to Visions. What else we had? Club Esso. They used to have different rooms. So you have the Jamaican room, you have your East Coast room, and then you have
Hmm.
your mainstream room. And some clubs even have four different rooms. You had like
No doubt.
pop music room or whatever, your top 100 room. But
Right.
yeah, I think this is more lounge music. Again, I didn't think I answered Poets and Rhymers' question. I did like Life is Good, and I didn't. I did like 444. It's not as bad as people say it is. I mean, they're both okay records. You know what I mean? It's just not they're not their strongest works, but I like to. It's where they are in their lives at that current time. But again,
I
I
I
did
think
like them.
444. I think 444 is a classic because people hate it so much. Now, granted, like listen to it like this, right? Um, people they felt the way about 444. I felt the way about 444, but contrary to people's belief, I was on Rap Radar talking shit. You know what I mean about 444. So but anyway, people felt the way about that, but that was necessary. That was net and the reason why I say it's classic is because for the whole rest of that year people kept talking about the album. Every day I went online, they were still talking about the album. The same way when I went online earlier today and I see people still talking about the halftime show and some hate it, but they keep talking about it though they hate it. I think they're giving more energy to it. And that was the same thing with 444. I kept going back and people were still talking about it that whole year over and over and over. So I think it must have had a the impact of it had on people's psyche did something. Something happened because they kept talking about it. The people that liked it, they really liked it. Eventually, I learned to like it because I blocked out the sonics and got into the lyrics. When I got into the lyrics, then went back to the sonics, then I liked it because I see how it had to be what it had to be. But it just kept being talked about over and over and over. And I think that makes it a classic because it's rare that I go back and I see people talk about the same record for months and months and months, and then it went into years, and I kept seeing people still talking about it. So you know,
I mean, I think
I don't see that all the time. You
yeah, I
know,
mean, I think people talk about it because who the artist is, right? I mean, because it's Jay Z,
okay,
is his last
all right.
solo album, so people talk
They
about it.
didn't do
But
that with the Carters. They didn't talk about the Carters at all. They didn't talk about a written testimony at all. You know what I mean? They let Magna Carta go, even though Magna Carta, I think people miss the business aspect, about merging music with technology. And I think that miss hurt the game. But still, they didn't talk about these albums like that. But 444, they kept going back to they kept going back to lessons in it, like story of OJ, legacy, Family Feud, kill Jay-Z, caught their eyes. They kept going back to lessons in it, and it kept holding. You know,
I mean, my favorite records on 444 is Legacy, Family Feud, Moonlight is dope, Bam is cool.
Moonlight came up.
Those are my favorite records. I mean, other than that, I don't go back and revisit. I listen to Volume One more than I listen to 444. I listen to Blueprint, Black Album, Reasonable Doubt. But
I can't
444 is,
even compare 444 to his
yeah,
other
because
albums.
444 is he's in a different space. He's an artist that's in a different. He can't rap. He can't approach. He's not rapping like American Gangster, right? The story is not about him being a drug dealer in the game
Exactly.
and how you hustling. It's not about that. He's talking about his legacy. So it's a different type of record. I get it. I know Mike has mentioned this several times that Jay-Z's not talking like he normally talks, but I don't think he could because it's a different concept of a record. It's more of him
Right.
talking about I'm in my latter stages of my career. I'm in a different space in my life. So this is how I'm approaching the record. Some people like it, some people didn't. I thought it wasn't as bad as advertised or bad as people proclaim it to be. It's okay. It's cool. Same with Life is Good. I don't know. I think if we do get another Jay-Z album, it will be in the same vein as 444. I don't think he has the ability,
Exactly.
and which is not a to me. Again, the last few Jay-Z verses that I actually enjoyed was Drug Dealers Anonymous with Pusha T. I like that verse. I like What's Free with Meek Mill and Rick Ross. I didn't like the song with DJ Khaled and Nas. I think both of them. I think that record was not that good. There was another record with D'Angelo
Five
on it.
minutes of bars.
Yeah, I didn't like God Did. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about that one. It was another record he had with Khaled. It was
Okay.
him and Nas on the
Um,
record, I think. It was him and
him and
Nas.
Nas. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, 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 yeah. I
It was
remember.
him
I
and
remember.
Nas on this record. I think it was a DJ Khaled record. I didn't really
You're right.
like God Did. So my favorite, my last great Jay Z verse that I appreciated was a long time ago. Was Drug Dealers Anonymous
I
and What's
That's
Free.
cool.
But it was a
I think
different. He
Jay.
was rapping. He was rapping different. Like even he's not the same Jay
I
Z
don't think Jay
on
should
on
be
full.
rapping to be liked anymore. You know what I mean? I don't. I think you have to get past being liked. Like I know people feel away because at one point I don't think Jay has to make music you like. I said that maybe a couple shows ago. People were like, "What?" But here's what I mean is Jay, I think it would be better to Jay to be true to himself. Like, meaning, I'm not in the club. I'm not selling bricks. I'm actually hanging out with my daughter. So I'm just gonna rap about that. Now you're not gonna like that, and that's okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's okay. I have to be true to what I actually do. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm hanging out with my daughter. I'm going to see her in movies. I'm going to museums. I'm going to, see my wife perform. Let me just tell you about my real life rather than constantly tell you about how I used to flip bricks, tell you that I'll knock one of these niggas' heads off, tell you about um, how tough I am. Let me just tell you about me being a dad. You know what I mean? And if you don't like that, that's cool. You know what I mean? But I'd rather you not like me being real than for me to be out here saying a bunch of stuff that I don't do. Now, I made it very plain and shallow, but under those statements, there's a lot of things that people may not like. And I think we need that. I think the 40-year-old rappers, the 50-year-old rappers, it's okay to not be the cool guy anymore. I wouldn't even want to be the cool guy. Like, yeah, like I'm the cool guy in the club. Like, I don't even want to be that guy. Like, what do you want me to prove to you that I've done bought all the flyest cars. I done did all the groupies. I done did all the fly shit. You want me to constantly prove to you that I have already reached those bars?
No, I
And
don't think
it's like
I don't think people want him to prove that. I just think people just want him to make music that sounds good to their ears. Now it could be a personal record just because you
what
rap it,
sounds good to
but you don't have to rap. You don't have to be you don't have to rap about flossing and hustling and dope slinging to make good music. You could rap about but just make it where it's just a little bit more palatable to the ears. Maybe I think sonically,
I got you.
yeah.
His last record, no, was it his last record? Well, technically, his last record, The Carters, right? That's musically, that is good music. If we're gonna have a musical argument, right? But y'all not playing that album. You know what I'm saying? So is it really about good music when the good music is right there and you're not playing it?
What was on the Carters, man? Because I just don't think that Carters like I again. You're right. I don't hear that
They're
record
saying
anyway.
good music. You're
I mean,
saying good, not great.
again,
You're saying good.
the music was. I hate to say it like this was fleeting. It didn't stick for whatever reasons that is
It's
right.
not good music. Jay and
I'm not
Beyonce on
saying
the
it's good or
same
not. I
album.
got to go back and listen. There was a couple joints. My wife, I took my wife when they did the Carters. I went to go see that show. So I'm familiar with that. But again, what was on that record? You don't hear those records being played. I mean, you
Friends
don't.
is on there. Not there's a record. It's not called Not Like Us, but it's something that alludes to that. Like Heard About Us. Heard About Us on there. Summer is on there. Ape Shit is on there. 712 is on there. But it's like that's good music. If y'all really want good music, well, that's right there. The thing about it is this, right? When you take your family somewhere, so it's you, your wife, your kids in the back seat, right? And you're on the radio, right? And you're driving the car. You're picking certain music because you know there are kids in the vehicle. Do you feel what I'm saying? So you're even though you want to play West Side Gun, trust me, I've been here, folks. Even though you want to play West Side Gun, the kids in the back seat, you kind of may not play that. So you're gonna play something a little different. Now, when you listen to the Carters, it's it's something that adults can listen to, but you could play that in for a 10-year-old or a 7 or 8-year-old, and it's not the content isn't crazy. They could hear it and it'll be okay. That's a family album. And that's the concept that I don't think hip hop explores. Every time we do something in hip hop, we have to be the most ruthless, toughest person in the room and then make an album from that perspective. That's cool, but I can't really play that when kids are watching cartoons in one room. You know what I'm saying? I really can't play that out loud like that because I'm not gonna play a bunch of shootout music with kids there. Sometimes I have done that because I get in my savage bag, but I shouldn't do that. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
I
right, right,
shouldn't do. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Again,
So
I gotta go back and listen to the Carters again. Again, music. I hate to use this word to describe it. To me, it
mm,
was fleeting. Like none of the songs. Some songs you listen to a record and it haunts you, right? So, like for example,
mhm.
let's stay in the Jay-Z vein. Streets is Watching, Where I'm From. You know what I'm saying? Um,
I got
A
you.
Million and One Questions. You Don't Know, DOA, Heart of
Yeah,
the
the street
City, Girls,
records.
Girls, Girls, Song Cry. You want to talk about Somehow, Some Way, This Can't Be Life. It's just a
But
lot of
all of those records too, they allude to a cool factor. Like I'm cool because my life experience has molded me into a very cool person. That's what's under the surface of those records.
well, even
What
even 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 a
what
song like
happens when you're not
Legacy,
concerned with being cool?
like even a song like Legacy, it lingered with me, right? Because his daughter starts off the record. She's like, "Daddy, what's the will?" He talks about Afro Tech. He talks about uh
Yeah,
someone in his family couldn't escape the touch of a preacher's hand, about abuse. So that record lingered with me, and it was
it's
nothing
bars.
cool. It's nothing cool about that record. I like the sample. Was
Okay,
that? Donny
okay.
Hathaway sample? I don't know what sample that No ID used. But again, none of the records to me, and people in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I got to go back and listen to it because I haven't heard that record in like 6 years. But it just didn't linger with me. You know what I mean? None of the
It.
songs, not even ape shit.
I got
You know
you.
what I mean?
So somebody just made a comment in about good music in the chat, which I agree with. But just to be clear, when people say good music to me, that to me means a record that you can put on and just do whatever you're doing, and the record doesn't impede you on doing. It doesn't throw the vibe off. So if you're cooking, if you are driving, if you are hanging out with friends, shooting pool in the garage, if you are throwing the football around with your kids, though you can just put on good music. And that music is going to be conducive to whatever vibe that you're experiencing. And it's because it's just good music. I think I think all the great artists have already accomplished that. So when people say, well, we just want good music, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, they already did that already. Now I know people was like, well, you should keep doing that over and over. But at a certain point, especially if you're 30 years into your career, I think you need to start exploring different sounds and different styles. You know what I mean?
I think
That's all.
I think his album with well, he wasn't credited, but
Jay
his album
Electronica.
with Jay Electronica, the Carters. I think
Mhm.
safe to say his best collaborative album was The Throne. I mean, you've got
I'm not mad at that.
I think in those records, No Church in a While, Gotta Have It, uh, That's My
But even
Chick.
even then, like on those records, Jay is saying, "I'm the coolest dude you have ever seen in your life." Like now, even though he's giving you substance too, but the undertone and how he's giving you the substance, he's like, "Don't forget, I really am that nigga." But what I'm saying is, it gets to a point to where you're like, "Okay, let someone else be that nigga, and me, I'm just gonna just be me off stage."
What was the
And
song
I
that
think
him and
you
Pete
should do it.
Rock made? Well, he had a couple songs that wasn't in
The
that
joy,
vein. The Joy,
the
you
joy,
got the Joy, you got the Joy, you got
new
uh
day.
the song with the RZA about his seeds. What's that song called?
No, new day, new
New
day.
Day. You got the New Day, the Joy. You got I mean, Church in the Wild. So it's not Murder to Excellence. Murder to Excellence is not a it's more of a it's not
I
a
get it.
so
We
he's
we bought
yeah.
Yeah, we bought Watch the Throne for the Sonics. Now, granted, we knew Jay was gonna bar up because what else was he gonna do? Is he not gonna have bars? Of course he's gonna have bars. But we bought or Watch the Throne because of the pairing of Jay and Kanye, and especially the Sonics, because we just heard My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So of course Jay would jump on that, because who in their right mind would not do a record with their most successful artist that's on their label? So of course Jay would jump on that. And sonically, these two albums are very close. If we're gonna talk about copying, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Watch the Throne are very close, musically and sonically. So, of course he did, but that's why we really got into it. You know,
Yeah, but again, even with that being said, it's his best collaborative effort. I think, and there's songs on that record that are still, like I listened to "Gotta Have It" this morning, the one that the Neptunes did. You know what I'm
No
saying?
doubt, no doubt. No,
Of course,
I'm
The
not into.
Joy. I listened to The Joy a couple of days ago. Is That's my chick.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? No Church in the
I'm a
Wilds
late
is using.
registration. I'm a
Yeah,
late registration guy, not a my beautiful dark twisted fantasy guy. So I'm not gonna lean toward that sound because I lean toward a more soulful sound. You know, I'm a late registration guy. So I enjoyed a written testimony. Right, this is a meeting of the minds. They're clashing content with him and Jay Electronica. I enjoyed that because I knew I wasn't going to get a Jay Electronica solo album. So the only way I was going to get it is if Jay forced it to come out, and he forced that album to come out, and this is what we got. And that was a clashing of the mind. And RJ's dumbass talking about fake woke. I don't think you can fake intelligence. Either you're intelligent or you're not. But faking intelligence, I don't know if you could really do that and sustain it. So
but
what Jay is doing,
does being woke make you intelligent?
yes.
Interesting.
Wait, awoke. The actual word means awake. So the opposite is asleep. So if I'm sleeping, I'm not really using my mind because I'm sleeping. So being awake, yeah, woke just means aware. That's the only thing it means. So I don't know why it became a different things. It means aware. That's the only thing woke means. Just so everybody knows. It just means aware. That's it. What I know, the news tells you that woke means political thought. That's not what it didn't come from politics. It came from the street. Now it ventured into politics because it means awareness of political science. But it came from the street. It did not come from politics. It
I gotta push back on this comment. Tater
means
Tots.
aware.
I gotta push back on this comment. Tater Tots is in the chat. Says Kanye's catalog is trash. No, no, sir. I gotta push back on
No,
that. So let's talk about Kanye. I was gonna save this for Saturday's show, but
but
um,
Yeezy too. Yeezy must happen. Before you go, people didn't like Yeezy. It's important that you don't like it because Yeezy is not about you liking him. It's about him pushing a boundary, and that must happen. But go ahead.
so we talk about Kanye West. We got to go back to the beginning, right? So Kanye West, now known as Ye, was a producer.
Mhm.
I think his first credit was Jermaine Dupri with Mace back in the late '90s. Um, his first album, or his first mixtape, was the Freshman Adjusted or Freshman Adjustment. So a lot of early records on there was you might have heard the home version, the one with Chris Martin. There was one with John Legend that was much
Mhm.
better. I don't know if they couldn't clear the sample. Earlier versions of Jesus Walk, All Falls Down, Through the Wire, My Way is Up My Way. So so yeah, Kanye Freshman
Right.
Adjustment, the mixtape, right? Then the College Dropout comes, right? Some people say it was a classic. So Through the Wire, you got All
Well,
Falls
it's a
Down,
classic.
you got
Yeah.
Jesus Walks, you
How could it
got
not be?
the Workout Plan, you got so many records, Family Business, Last Call.
It's
Um,
college rap on the highest level.
right.
So I already heard that before the album came out. But the masses never heard that. I had already heard Little Brother. So I was already there. So when Kanye comes out, now you're getting Little Brother on a mass level.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's he's one for one, right? So then you got late
Mhm.
registration. You heard him say. You know what I'm saying? I think you got Touch the Sky on that joint. We Major. You got
Mhm.
Drive Slow. You got Gold Digger. I mean,
Yeah, those are the classics. Yeah. Yeah.
let's just keep it real. Then you got Graduation. So you 3 for 3. You know what I'm saying? Then you got
They don't
808s and
respect
heart
that.
808s
Kendrick
and
did the
heart. So
same thing. People was like, nah.
I wouldn't use the word trash to describe Kanye West's catalog. Then you got My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Then you got The Life of Pablo. Then you got 808 and Heartbreaks that
This-
inspired all the sing-songy shit that you hear today. That inspired that. People love that album. You got people that swear by Yeezus. I wasn't a big Yeezus
here-
fan. So
here's the
I
thing.
wouldn't describe his catalog as trash. That's just me.
Here's the thing with Kanye, though, under the surface, respectfully. His music is, I want you to really like me. So listen to this. That's what it sounds like. Like I want you to like me music. Now, on a basic level, all artists do that, right? Because we all want a fan base to enjoy the music, right? But there are a lot of our music that we really do like and consider classic. It wasn't just about I want you to like me. It was I have a real story that is a life story that I need to tell you in order for you to understand my spirit as a person. And that came with the music. Like when you talk about a Jay-Z or a Nas or an Ice Cube or a Common Sense, there's something in their spirit that they want to connect with you, right? So with a lot of Kanye, that was there with College Dropout, right? But the further he gets away from that, it sounds like I really want you to like me. So here are songs that are the latest hottest thing, with me talking about the latest hottest trends, with me talking about I'm so famous that I need y'all to understand how famous I really am. It's because I need you to like me. That's what his music has now. To me, it comes across as that. If it's deeper than that, cool. But I think a lot of that deepness hasn't been there for a long time. I think after the 808s and heartbreaks phase, I think he ascends to such a level to where he's like, I want to be Michael Jackson. I don't want to be um, common sense. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the difference right there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and I think again, I laid out the argument from late registration to freshman adjustment. There was a record that someone said in the chat, that receipt record with ODB. You know what I'm saying? Kanye record is far from trash. I was going to do this on
It ain't
Saturday
trash. No.
because I was going to put together some graphics. I wanted to kind of explain it. I sat back last night and I was thinking about what are my favorite, and this is not the best. So I'm not going to say these are the best Kanye West Ye songs, but these are my favorite records from Kanye West.
Mm.
Number 10, I had Good Music. Um, Not Good Music, Good Friday. Good Friday. Oh, you
Remember? Yep.
Kid
Yeah, I remember
Cudi,
those.
Pusha T, Saha the Prince is on that record. Who else? It was part of the Good Friday series, right? Um, I think Chain Heavy came out. I think Q-Tip produced Chain Heavy. My Mama's Boyfriend. You had Christmas in
But there's
Harlem.
all these different people on his music. All these
Right,
different
right. It's a different elements.
on his
All the
music.
Lights was part of that series. Um, so yeah, Good
But
Friday. If you, I'm gonna put the
I'm just
playlist. I'm
saying,
gonna put a playlist together. You can kind of check this one out. But Good
there was
Friday.
a point. There was when I used to listen to Puff, because Ye and Puff Daddy is the same person to me.
No,
When I
come
when
on,
I
no,
lit,
they're not the
that's the
same
same person
person.
to me.
They're not
I,
the
I
same
want you
person.
to I want you to like me music is what I mean. That's the same play. So when I used to listen to Puff Daddy, I would hear his writers. Like I could tell you what Ti when Ti is writing. I can tell you when Royce the 5'9" is writing. I can tell you when Pharoah Monch is writing. I can tell you when Mace is writing. I can tell you when Black Rob is writing. Because I can hear it through Puff. So when Ye is rapping, I can tell you when Big Sean is writing, when Sci High is writing, when Consequence is writing, because I hear it coming through Kanye's delivery. So I can hear the just the amalgamation. I don't even know, but just the bunch of artists behind his music. I hear it because I could hear it in your delivery. And that it started to get like that with Puff. Like the later Puff went into his albums, I can hear your ghostwriter's delivery. You know what I mean? So it's Ye, but it's not Ye. It's other people speaking through Ye as the MC. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
It's
it's
Kanye because no one else is making this music outside of Kanye. This is the same
if I if
argument.
I can tell you when I listen to Power, right, and I can tell you I hear Saha the Prince because there's a structure in punchlining,
Yeah,
right?
I get that. I get that. I get that. But
Yeah,
where's his power though?
in that punchlining.
But where's his record like power?
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, where's Sahai's record? If
I'm saying
people,
you did. Are you? I'm not. You're not discounting
no,
what
Sahai can't produce like Kanye, no. But
oh,
I'm saying the writing though, if I can hear the writer in through you, then yes, I'm gonna give you credit because you still gotta deliver it. The same way I give Dr. Dre credit when someone else is writing, right? But I do know that I can hear the structure of that other person working through your writing. I can hear it. You know what I mean? Now that to me that doesn't take away. Contrary to what other people, I actually don't take away points for that because I think once you reach a point to where you have once you reach a point to where you have 50 million fans, I think you should be having ghostwriters. Now, do you have to use them? No. But I think if you're in a room and Pusha T comes up with a bar that's super fire and you have 50 million fans, you may want to use that Pusha T bar. So I'm not even against that. You know what I mean? With Drake too. Like Drake, when you have 100 million fans and somebody comes with a fire bar, you may want to use that just as a matter of intelligence. So I'm not even against it. But what I'm saying is, yes, Kanye is still Kanye, but the words themselves, there are other factors involved. And it's
uh,
been that way since Jesus walks.
all right. Let me go through. Let me go through my list. So number 10 was Good Friday. The Good Friday
Yeah.
series. Somebody put in the chat could be a series of its own. A lot of good records on there. A lot of classic Kanye records on there. Number 9 was something he did on Def Poetry Jam. He made it into a song. Bittersweet with John
I
Mayer.
remember that.
And Kanye
Mm-hmm.
is always good when he's talking about personal things, right? When he's like not taking himself so seriously. He's human. He's rapping in a very human way, talking about what you saying, motherfucker, your
Where's
mama's a
I haven't
domestic
heard that.
violence. Yeah, I mean, listen to Bittersweet with John Mayer. That's number 9. Number 8, Follow God. Follow God was on Jesus is King or
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus is King album. He kind of took that sample, he kind of took it back, kind of like an old Kanye West sound, right? What the little loop he did. Another punchline. He said he don't even like likes. You know what I'm saying? So with it, like social media, like he's a very witty MC. So number
The
8
the
was Follow
con
God,
the
and these are
context
my
there
favorite. These are my favorite songs. These are not the best songs. But these are my favorite records. Go ahead.
the context there, even with all his records, is I really want you to like me. That's the context of his records. You know what I mean? Honestly, because he's talking about look at how famous I am. And man, I can't believe I'm this famous and I should be the most famous and you should love me. That's the context of his records. Other people's records, when we get to Jay or Jay-Z, a person like Jay-Z, it's not that I need you to like me. It's this is what I believe as a person. Either you agree with me or you don't. If you don't agree with me, I'm okay. That's the separation I believe is the difference between the two. And Kanye is kind of like that because he's gonna say, if you don't agree with me, then f you. Like that, Kanye is gonna well then f you then. That's Kanye, how he really feels. But what I'm saying is the substances of let me tell you about my personal life and emotions. I haven't heard that since I mean '07. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
some of these records are way past '07. So, uh, I had number 8, Follow God. So let me give you a recap. My favorite, Ron's favorite Kanye West records, not the best Kanye records, but my favorite ones. Number 10, Good Friday. Number 9, Bittersweet with John Mayer. Number 8, Follow God on Jesus is King. Number 7 is
mhm.
a record from the life of Pablo, Real Friends, another personal record. And so I could have picked
I remember that
Facts.
record.
I could have put Facts. I could have put Famous. I could have put Ultraviolet. I could have picked so many records on Life of Pablo. Life of Pablo is slept on, but I picked Real Friends. Real Friends is a really dope record. Again, he's talking very in a very personal way about things going on in his life. Like that
Hmm.
record. Number 6, I like Mercy. Great record. Lamborghini. I know the record Mercy. Number 6, my favorite. And number 5 is Through the Wire. I like Through the Wire. I mean, when I heard Through
Yeah,
the
I
Wire
mean,
the first time, I knew that
a
he
lot
was
of
going to be a
old
star.
records in there.
Now I know
I
old
mean,
records. I mean, I got some new ones. Like,
I could tell who's gonna be a star by what label you signed to. You know what I
no,
mean?
not
But
every
but it's like
just because you signed to a label don't mean you're gonna be a star.
but no, when I've heard him sampling certain beats, and then I saw Jay-Z was the money behind the project, I pretty much knew this is gonna go to some degree. Is it gonna be the greatest thing ever? No, but is it gonna be on TV? Yeah. So once you make it to TV, you kind of left the building, like honestly, you know what I mean. But I mean, but now it's too far gone. I don't believe Kanye, so it's like when you talk, do I believe that you speak the truth? No, that's already been left the
But
building.
see, I'm not listening to him talk.
That's
I'm listening to
been
his
left.
music. I'm not listening to him
But
talk.
in
That's the difference.
your music is not reality to me. It's some type of trendy pop madness.
What
You know what I
music?
mean?
What music are you referring to? What I mean, what trendy pop madness are you hearing? Is Good Friday madness? Is
everything
Bittersweet?
that
Follow God?
everything but follow God is not about following God. It's just about the title says follow God and the sample give alludes to it. You know what I mean? But it's like but even if you did though, right? Because every single person you encounter would tell you, I follow God. There is no person that's not going to tell you that. Then you investigate their actual life. And then you got to ask yourself, is this person actually being truthful or are they just saying it because it sounds good? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because everybody, without fail, is going to tell you they're the number one disciple of God. Like,
I just
so
don't think
that's
I
everybody.
just don't think you like Kanye for personal reasons, but his music is still dope. Joe
It's
Young,
musical too. Like I have to believe you in music. If your music does not ring, again, if your music is, I really want you to like me because I'm so lit. I don't. I There's a shallowness to that. That I because you're if you're in your 20s, yeah, being lit is great. But after a certain level, you keep telling me that you're lit. So for 25 years, you've been telling me you're lit. At some point, it's like I got it already. You already told me. You know what I'm saying? You already told me that. So what else is there that you have besides being lit? You
let
know?
me do the super chat real quick. Joe Young with the super chat says best catalogs are Jay-Z, Nas, Kanye West, Scarface, Tupac, K Dot, Rick Ross, The Game, Ice Cube, Busta Rhyme. Let's keep the content coming. We got to do the best hip hop catalogs of all time. Yeah, Super Duper's been talking
Yeah.
about that. Super's been talking about that for a few weeks now. We got to do a hip hop catalog tournament bracket. Maybe we do it for March Madness. We put a
Yeah.
catalog bracket together. You know what I mean?
Well, we we were going to talk about the anatomy of the goat and things along that nature, right? But my thing is this: a lot of people they're going to make certain arguments, right? And they're going to use good music. First, I don't know what you mean by good music because I thought the point was to make great music. If the point is to make good music, that's just not it's not enough for me. Now the another thing is they're going to create certain things. You got to do this. You got to do this. But then if somebody else does the exact same thing, they're gonna say that doesn't count. Like if they say, well, you gotta have classic albums back to back. And I say, well, Kendrick did that, but well, Kendrick doesn't count. Like you'll pick and choose who counts and who doesn't count. And we really don't have a metric, but we could try it out, best discography, right? But my case is, of course, y'all know who I'm gonna make the case for, but I could go a bunch of different people. But what have you done differently? Like, why do I have Common in my top five? Is it because Common always delivers the same album all the time? Of course not. I'm giving Common an extra nod, extra points if he has albums that sound different. Um, like Water for Chocolate sounds completely different from Electric Circus, which sound completely different from B, which sounds completely different from Universal Mind Control, which sounds completely different from a Dreamer and Believer, which sounds completely different. You see, I can keep going with how different his albums sound. The Beautiful Revolution, Volume 1 and 2, sounds completely different from Nobody Smiling. And the last record he did with Pete Rock sounds different from Let Love. So, if you're 1 minute, you're doing music with Swiss Beats, then you're doing music with a live band, then you're doing music with Pete Rock. You see how he's continuously being different? So I'm giving props for different. A lot of people, you want the same album back to back, over and over and over and over and over. In my view, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's something we can agree on. I think Common does have a top 10 catalog, and we will examine it. Again,
We can. Interesting
Kanye
conversation.
Kanye's catalog is not to be slept on. Arguably four classics. Arguably four
Well, yeah,
classics.
yeah, yeah. I, I would. He definitely the first two. I'm not going to argue with. If someone adds the three, I, I'm not going to argue with that. Like graduation was cool to me, but I'm not going to argue with it if someone wants to argue. If someone wants to put My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy in there, how could I argue, right? But again, that's me giving the points for being different. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy doesn't sound like College Dropout. It doesn't sound like 808s. Doesn't sound like Late Registration. Some of it does, but when I saw it sounded different, that's what made me give it hella points because it sounds different. I don't want to hear the same stuff over and over. You know what I mean? So, but I'm not. I would say he definitely has four. You know, however people want to pick whatever four. I know you got the first two, everybody, but
Right. So yeah, we'll do a bracket. We're gonna do a bracket for March Madness. We'll put together like a four different groups.
hmm
Maybe you do 80s, 90s, 2000s, and
we'll
maybe
figure it out. We'll figure it
2010,
out.
post 2010, and then we'll see who's
Yeah.
got the best catalog, who come out. You know what I mean? I think that's or maybe we can think of another way to group it. Maybe East, West. I don't know. We got to figure out a way because I want to be fair. A lot of people said this the GOAT talk wasn't fair. Tupac and
Which,
Tupac
oh,
and Kendrick, that GOAT talk wasn't fair because a lot of folks was calling Kendrick young, and I was like, man, nah, Kendrick ain't young. Kendrick about 40 years old. That's what Super was kind of calling out. So
well, anytime you pick Tupac, we already know who people are gonna pick as the winner, right? We already know what that's gonna go. But the fact you even picked Tupac in the first place, I didn't whenever I enter that debate, it's never really me that injects Tupac in any debate. It's always the people or other people that inject Tupac. But when you inject Tupac, you're saying the other person is great. You're using Tupac, right? You're weaponizing Tupac to downplay the other guy, right? But what you end up doing is lifting up the other guy. So I that argument, it does more to work against your argument than in my view. Because if you're comparing Tupac to somebody, whoever that other person is must be great at what they do.
you know what though? You know what though? I think if we do this catalog bracket, this March Madness according to hip hop tournament,
Mm.
I don't think he gonna make Kendrick's catalog is gonna make it to the finals at all.
I think people think they have to like an artist when you don't have to like them. Like, what does liking the person or the music have to do
Well,
with them being
you
great?
just said you didn't like Kanye a minute ago. You said you don't like Kanye. You said
I'm not going to
and I
tell you
know
his
you don't
music
like
is
Kanye.
trash.
I know you
I'm
don't
not going
like
to tell
him
you
though.
his music is trash.
But you said you have to
But
believe him.
I think people think that I have to personally like Kendrick Lamar's music in order for me to give him props. That's a backwards
No, I
way
don't. I
of,
don't. I look.
of
I
thinking.
listen
Like,
for
I
the
don't love Drake's music, but I have to give it props.
right, and
Like,
I think
it just makes sense for me to not give it props.
and I think I've done that. I think I've done that. I've said this before on this show. I said Kendrick's music, for me, is not my cup of tea. I don't particularly enjoy it. I'm a big if I listen to any Kendrick Lamar album, I listen to Section 80 and I listen to Damn. I don't listen to his music like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't enjoy his music like that. But I would never deny that his music for certain people resonates with them. It doesn't resonate with me. So I don't knock. I think,
Yeah,
and that's why we can have these conversations about his catalog because obviously there's people around the world or people in hip hop think his catalog is like that. I just said for me, I don't. It
I
doesn't resonate
understand.
with me. That's all
I
I'm saying.
understand. But at this point, though, Kendrick has to be in that conversation because anybody who's real being, if we live in reality, we were speaking from a reality base. When we go outside into the real world, if you make an argument that his catalog is not is not one of the best catalogs in reality, in the real world, who are you faking for? Like, who are you faking? Like, anywhere Kendrick goes in the country, the world, his catalog is respected. So if you don't respect it, not you saying personally, Ron, I'm saying anybody who doesn't respect it, that's okay, but you can't get around reality. You know what I mean? Like, Kendrick is respected for Section 80, Good Kid, To Pimp a Butterfly. Damn. Like, them four right there
Yeah,
is solid.
I
And
think
Mr. Morale, like, contrary to popular belief, that album made a huge wave in the world.
I think you could.
You know what I'm saying?
I think you can respect an artist and just and not like the music. I think both can be
Of
true.
course.
I can respect you as an artist and the music that you produce, but I just may not like it. So I
Of
think that, and I think I can make an argument that maybe another artist might resonate with someone else a little bit differently. I think that's okay
And then
to respect it and not like it.
the comparison argument too. I like this person more. That doesn't mean anything. Like, if someone says I like Scarface more than Kendrick Lamar, I don't know what that even means. Because if we're not talking about Scarface, then what does that even mean?
Well,
Like, or someone said
I
I
think
like Ghostface more than Kendrick Lamar. What does that even
I
mean?
think the reason these conversations come up is because when you have Billboard and you have Complex and you have all these mainstream publications putting out lists, and I think it really happened with Hip Hop 50, right? They were ranking groups, they were ranking videos, and they were ranking artists. So a lot of this conversation stems from the fact that a lot of these publications had Kendrick top five. I think Billboard had Kendrick top two. So hip hop fans react to that and be like, well, nah, wait a minute. How can he be top two when Common has a better catalog per se? And they can defend that
Nobody was talking
argument.
about Common before I had started talking about him.
Well,
Honestly,
I personally said that. I mean, before you and I,
honestly,
started doing this show, in my mind, I said, well, Common had a better catalog. But that's
and
where these
the
arguments stem from, right? Their reaction to people saying on my timeline last week, Kendrick's the GOAT. Kendrick's the number two rapper of all time. Kendrick's better than Pac. Kendrick's better than Jay. That's
see,
where the
I didn't even say
conversation.
that, but now
But
that
that's
now
but
that's what I'm gonna get
but that's where the
charged with.
chatter. That's where the chatter is coming from, and people are reacting to that conversation. You're
Right, but
looking at
if I
music.
say
You're looking at music in a very nuanced way, in a very deliberative way, and you're breaking down rhymes and concepts. You're looking at it in a different way. The
I
other
could,
people are
yeah,
reacting to what they hear in the barbershop, what they hear on their timeline in the street, that oh, Kendrick is the GOAT. And they're reacting to that. So that's what I'm
okay, well,
saying.
they need to go to the barbershop and ask in the barbershop, is Kendrick that nigga? And see what the barbershop actually tells you. Because
Well,
if I go to the barbershop, if I go to the barbershop, they're likely to be like, Kendrick is that guy.
well,
I haven't asked a question, but I'm just saying that you don't have to like an artist. That you It doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to like them. But and these people that write for these magazines, I think we assume that all of them are not from hip hop. Some of these people actually came from within hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Contrary to popular belief. So when we look at certain things like conceptual album making, because people, every time we have a GOAT argument, y'all bring up albums. Well, then, okay, conceptual album making. Kendrick is not in that conversation as one of the greatest ever? Really? If he's not, maybe it's you. That's all I'm saying. Like, maybe it's you. Because the work itself stands on reality. Like, and then also you gotta ask their fan base. When Drake comes out, right? I say, okay, yeah, he's cool. You know what I'm saying? But I hear him talking to females, so I'm gonna ask the females, hey, is this dude dope? They'll be like, oh yeah, he's dope. Okay, cool. So I got it from your actual fans. Then I hear some backpack type of lyrical bars, right, on comeback season or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm a Fonte guy, and I hear Drake, and I hear Elzai. I'm like, yeah, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. So yeah, he's dope. There are certain checkpoints that we can make that we cannot deny. We just cannot deny. It's right in our face. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, like, so that's all.
I know we can get into it more goat talk in the future. We can kind of dive into
Yeah.
the anatomy of a goat. Joe Young with the super chat says, when you do the catalog, make sure, objectively speaking, good metrics, do all the research in the data, balance your critique in the music, and be fair.
Oh, well,
Bless. Yeah,
you
we're
know I'm
gonna
gonna
be
do that.
fair. We're gonna be fair. We're gonna
You
be fair. Like we'll look at Guru's catalog. We'll look at Common's catalog. We'll look at Scarface's catalog. We'll look at Too Short's catalog. We'll look at Jeezy's catalog. We'll look at Cameron's catalog. We'll look at Nas,
y'all gotta
Jay.
know the catalog too.
Yeah.
Do you guys know these songs? Not the most popular songs, the songs that aren't popular. Do you know those songs? Like you have to know them, because if you don't know them, it's okay. You can still be in the conversation, but just understand that I can tell when you don't know those songs, like, or when you don't know a particular albums. Like if I'm talking about Ghostface and I'm mentioning the song with Black Thought on Apollo Kids, do you know it? Or you know what I'm saying? It's like you got to know it in order for the conversation to make sense. You know what I'm saying? So this is a lot. If we want to have a catalog art debate, it's a lot of big chunk of music that y'all got to know. Like y'all got to know hundreds of songs. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a valid point, but we can also, I think a lot of people do know it. Like a lot of people in this chat, in this thread, and on the show can speak to. For example, I can
I
speak to
hope so.
Kanye's catalog day and night, and I can put it against Kendrick's catalog without even question. I can do Common's the same way. I can do Pac,
Okay,
Big.
okay, even right there, right? If we put Kanye versus Kendrick Lamar, and we catalog to catalog, and we say, well, who got the better beats? Who do you think is going to win that? Obviously, it's going to be the producer who wins the beat battle, right? But if we pick who who has the most substance, right? Now that could be debated.
That could go either way.
But but Kendrick really comes from a real place to where he's representing real situations
And
in a in
Kanye's
a
come
in
Kanye's
a
coming from
different.
Kanye came from a
Kanye's
real
not
place.
Kanye's not doing that. Kanye, it's not the same. Now that doesn't make one better than the other, but what Kendrick represents is not what Kanye represents.
So
Kanye is something. Kanye is representing and what Eminem represents. I'm not talking about race. I'm not talking about race. What I'm talking about is Eminem. He had a certain reaction to fame, and when the fame element hit his life, his lyrics started to address issues of being famous. So when fame collided with Kanye's life, his music started to address subjects of fame. Kendrick, when fame collided with Kendrick's life, he started to address the black experience in America. You see what I'm saying?
I mean,
These are two. This is something different.
let's just look at.
You're gonna pick. You're gonna pick. You're gonna cherry pick. What I'm saying is Kendrick's whole discography from point A to Z all lines up with a continuous theme throughout the entirety of the career. There is no break in his
There's no
in his content.
there's no break. Again, I would argue there's no break with Kanye. Kanye's been really deliberate in who he was when he first came in. From the college dropout, the late registration to graduation. It's an elevation. You see him becoming the music nerd and the guy that wants to be accepted by hip hop, to becoming the biggest artist in hip hop that's trying to break into
He said he was
fashion.
faking. He said he
He
was faking that.
he's growing. You've seen him at different stages now to this new stage where his life is like a performing arts show. He's just it's a
Okay, yeah,
it's
Kendrick's
performative
something
art.
else.
But you
Kendrick
look at
something.
but you
Kendrick
look
comes from where Nipsey comes from. That's
right,
something totally different. That's
right.
something totally. There is no comparison there.
Well, I
Now
mean,
I know.
everybody got their own different. Everybody, I mean, it may not be no comparison coming from South Central, Los Angeles, but people have different perspectives. Project Pat comes from Memphis. Kanye comes from Chicago. Common comes from Chicago. Ross and them come from Florida. Outkast from Atlanta. Ti from Atlanta. I mean, people have different perspectives.
Common, Common and Ye are from Chicago, right? So there is a certain story that you can tell about Chicago, right? And no story is right or wrong. Common speaks to certain elements in Chicago, into which why he clings onto spirituality as a combatant to the elements of Chicago. Kanye, he clings to high fashion and having a lot of money and having a lot of fame, which is fine. I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's just a different element. When Common is holding on to spirituality and you're holding on to high fashion, I can't equate the two as the same value to me. It's not. It's just not.
Yo,
Again, to you, maybe you think Kanye is really delivering something deep in his
he
music.
is. He
To
is.
me, to me, I think someone else is writing those deep messages to where he's performing it for the sake of being liked.
I don't think so, and I'll give you an example. Like I was in a, like again, I don't like using this argument. A lot of people use this argument. I was outside. I was in Nashville. I was at a bar. It wasn't in the. It was a bar that didn't have a lot of us in it. They're playing all types of music. It's kind of a crazy place where they're playing music from the '80s, new wave,
Mhm.
and I'm having me a drink. I'm sipping me an old fashioned, and I hear some scratching, like and it's DJ Premier, Kanye West, Everything I Am on the Graduation album out of nowhere. And on that record, he talks about on the third verse. Let's go to the third verse. He said, I know people wouldn't usually rap. This is I don't think nobody wrote this. I know people wouldn't usually rap this, but I got the facts to back this. Just last year, Chicago had over 600 caskets. Man, killing some whack shit. Oh, I forgot, except for when Ninjas is rapping. Do you know how I feel when people feel like when people is passing? He got chain over his chains off a block off Ashland. I need to talk to somebody. That's Kanye West, man. Ain't nobody
I
wrote
don't know.
that
I
for
don't.
him. And
I,
I'm saying it permeates. Go
even
ahead.
if it is Kanye West, what is the intent of you talking about black murder? What's the intent? Now, I think your intent was the same when you were in the TMZ office talking about black murder. I
Well, this
think your intent was the same. You're talking about a fact to bring attention to yourself. You actually don't care. You don't give a damn about the murder. You want attention for yourself. When Common speaks about the murder, I honestly believe that he is honestly upset about those murders. Like, I honestly believe that bothers his spirit. Now, again, I could be wrong, but based on other people that have written certain songs for you that were deep, I think another voice is involved, and that's okay. But what it says to me is it's calculated for attention because you're having other people come in write about these certain situations. Again, when Jay-Z raps about murder to excellence or whatever, he raps about coming out the street. I think something about the street actually troubles Jay-Z's spirit. Now, it not in the way where he's sad, or but I think there's a familiar. I think when Jay talks about the streets, there's something familiar in his psyche with the street. When Kanye talks about the street, I don't know if it's as familiar to you as it is to Kendrick Lamar or Jay Z, because Kanye, if it was that familiar, there's a certain sincerity that would come out in your character. When I see you talk about certain things, there's a political play behind it. Yeah, I mean, I'm
I
just
just don't
being
think you
real.
like Kanye, brother, and that's okay. That's okay.
I
That's all
don't.
right.
I think he's a jackass,
Okay, but see, that's where you get jaded, and you can't speak about him objectively
but
because
he makes
you have a
music.
personal feel. I don't know the brothers. I don't know if he is one or not. I don't know.
I know
I don't
him.
speak on
I
people I
know him.
never met.
I
That's just
know him.
me. That's just
I've
me.
never met him, and I don't know him. But what I'm saying is, after listening to you for 25 years, I think I know a little bit enough about you because you've been telling me about you for 25 years. So if I'm listening to you talk, I think I know something about you. That's all I'm
Well,
saying. I've listened to you talk for 25 years.
well, we'll continue. We'll continue this conversation on the
Yeah.
weekend, man. But it was been a good show. What's your final words for the night, brother?
Final words for the night. So, first shout out, Sticky Fingers had a new record with Cassidy. Dope. I always thought Sticky Fingers was dope back in the day. I was a big Onyx guy. Shout out to Smith and Wesson. Looking forward to that new album with the Soul Council on the beats. Gorilla Nims, dope freestyle on the Funk Flex on Hot 97. Joey Badass, dope song. This weekend. Looking forward to the Ransom and Dave East. Looking forward to the St. John even because I like the musicality there. You know what I mean? Even though it sometimes it's hit or miss, but I still like it. And going everybody check out Extra Laps too, Nipsey. And I'm looking forward to a new Xzibit whenever that materializes. You know what I mean? That's it.
Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I know we're marching to the 100,000 subscriber march so we can have our festival. Go to www.accordingtohiphop.com. The newsletter will be back. My final thoughts: Kanye, artist formerly known as Kanye West, Ye, is dope. Leroy, don't be like that.
He's dope. He's dope.
We'll have to have an objective talk about him.
Musically, he's dope.
What else I wanted to say? That's all I wanted to say, man. I'll give you my other top 5 over the weekend. We're gonna have a dope show, and also to other podcasts out there. Y'all do your thing. We appreciate everyone in the space, but I just want to say there's other things to talk about. Yeah, we talked about them today, but we talked about Nipsey Hussle, we talked about Xzibit, we talked about Kanye, we talked about Ransom, we talked about Dave East. We talk about a lot of different things. We talked about Nas a little bit,
I don't
Jay-Z.
care.
It's more to talk about besides one
I don't
person.
care.
But I don't care either. But
Yeah,
they make a little,
yeah. I don't care.
they
The
joke.
internet.
I'm just giving some professional advice. So yeah,
And
some
I appreciate.
professional advice. That's all.
Yeah, the internet doesn't make or break me. I was already me before the internet. However you want to play it, play it. It doesn't bother me.
I mean,
Now,
I'm just giving some constructive criticism. I mean, the numbers are, we have numbers on different spaces, right? So we have Facebook numbers, X
YouTube don't make
numbers,
or break me.
YouTube numbers, Google Analytic numbers, and we haven't even really pushed the button yet. We just kind of warming up with this
like
shit.
like I said,
Actually,
Wendy Williams got all type of numbers that the Wake Up Show didn't get, but we respect the Wake Up Show. We didn't respect Wendy Williams because she was a bird. She always had some kind of manufactured conflict or some type of fake beefing going on. I'll entertain it because we can all laugh and make jokes and be internet tough guys, but it's really a limit to that. It's a limit to where I'll just stop entertaining it because I'm not an internet person. I'm not an industry person. If you are that, that's great. That's great. That maybe you think I hate what you're doing. I don't know why, but okay. You know what I mean? But for me personally, I'm gonna get back to this hip hop thing, but I'm not
and
entertaining.
if you
I'm
want
not an
to,
internet. You know what I mean?
if y'all need some ideas, from a nice contractual rate, you can reach out to Leroy, Super, myself,
No,
Mike,
they'll bite
Servan.
you. They'll
There's
bite
a couple. There's a couple of we'll send you over a contract. We produce your shows because you're getting
you.
views, but I mean, you're talking about the same things over and over again. But anyway, again,
They'll
we
bite
we
you with a straight face while the other people are looking at the guy biting you. And then they'll just act like it didn't happen and then just go. But hey, it is what it is, man. All I'm saying is run your play, but just know the internet don't make or break me. YouTube don't make or break me. These numbers don't make or break me. I'm really outside. That's where things really go on. That's it.
and with that
You
being
know?
said, hit like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Leave a comment. We'll see you on this weekend, Saturday. Peace.
Peace. Like that.